to my channel. I am the True Crime Diva, and I'm not alone today. I'm with another True Crime junkie, Langelihle Hanyane. I'm gonna let her introduce herself actually.
Hi guys, my name is Langelihle Hanyane, and I also have a true crime channel called Langelihle Hanyane.
She posts every Sunday, so we already uploaded the video to her channel. It's already there and it's definitely in the description down below. You have got to check her out. I've already subscribed, I already have my notifications on, and you have to do the same. She's pretty good, y'all. Her stories are juicy. Yeah, she tells the spicy ones. So we back with another money heist story. And Langelile's one was just a money heist. Today we'll be talking about the Great Trust Bank robbery. A very, very interesting case. It's a story about rookie robbers who did a professional job, and there's no trigger warning this time. Langelihle is gonna start.
So in 1968, Whitehead and Van der Merwe actually started a painting business together, and they were very successful for about a year and a half. But in 1970, things took a turn for the worst. So around 1971, they were just traveling in the coast of Knysna, and they were trying to buy plots, and then they noticed how easy it could be to rob the small town banks. And by the time they returned back to Joburg, they had a pretty much good plan, and by March they had acquired equipment and tools just to commit the robberies, and they had another accomplice named Gilbert Mtembu, and then they set out to Uniondale in the Cape Province. They first made 2 attempts to rob the Volkshuis Bank, one in Knysna and another in Aberdeen. But their first attempt wasn't successful because by the time they broke into the bank, it was dawn, and they realized that people were waking up, meaning there will be witnesses to the robbery. And their second attempt was also unsuccessful because they realized that the safe was made of carbon steel, and it was actually resistant to cutting torches.
Back in Johannesburg, Van der Merwe and Whitehead had their cars repossessed by the bank and had to shut down their business. As Van der Merwe was discussing this financial turmoil with a bank employee at the Great Trust Bank in the Hillbrow branch, he realized that the security van was carelessly neglected outside. For over 15 minutes, money was being brought into the bank, with the vehicle being left unattended. They then decided that they'd have to obtain keys to the van, which turned out to be a surprisingly easy task. And on the night of the 26th of April, they went to the Trust Bank building where the van was parked, unguarded, and poured water in the petrol tank. They followed the following day. They followed the van. It broke down as a result of the water, and it was taken to a local garage for repair. Van der Merwe then managed to steal the keys, which were kept in the van at the garage. They made copies of the keys, and then they returned the original, with none being the wiser. At this stage, Whitehead decided to ask for help from his wife. They needed a getaway vehicle in case things didn't go as planned. And initially, she was extremely opposed to the idea. She got into a heated argument with her husband, and then she realized that his mind is set on the matter. So then she decided to give in. She decided that she'd be there as a standby getaway vehicle.
So Van der Merwe and Whitehead had false number plates made for the Mercedes, and they had hired a Volkswagen Combi from the garage. The purpose of the Combi was just to transport the money from the security van into the Combi. So on Wednesday, the 20th of April, everything went smoothly. Van der Merwe stepped out of his Mercedes-Benz, he stepped into the security van, he used the copy of the keys and simply drove the security van into an open grass a few blocks away from the bank, and that's where they transferred the money from the security van into the Combi they'd actually hired. So later on that day, the robbers drove to Parktown with the loaded Combi, and then when they got there, they transferred the money from the Combi into Van der Merwe's car. And later on that day, they drove to the Vaal River in Van der Biel Park, and they dropped off the money boxes into the river. So Whitehead then pegged the money into a caravan. They had a caravan, so he pegged the money into the ceiling of his caravan, and he set off to Knysna with his wife and his 4 children. And 3 days later, Van der Merwe and his wife Melene actually joined them. So it's the 9th of May, it's a Sunday, and then Van der Merwe and his wife Marlene go to Bloemfontein to visit Marlene's parents.
At this time, police had little to nothing to go on. They were under the impression that they were dealing with professional robbers due to the speed and precision that the robbery was carried out with. They began investigating whether the robbery was an inside job because the robbers used keys to drive the security van. They soon realized that duplicate keys had been obtained while the van was at the garage. It was because of someone who had witnessed the transfer of the money from the Mercedes to the Kombi, they managed to start making a connection. The witness was Mr. Smith, who was a very alert employee working at a warehouse adjacent to that open ground where the transfer had taken place. He immediately became suspicious when he saw a red Kombi and a fawn-colored Mercedes driving around the security van, and he managed to get a good look at the woman who was driving the Mercedes. The police had established that Van der Merwe resembled the man seen driving the security van and that his Mercedes was similar to the one used in the robbery. They also established that Van der Merwe and Whitehead were in serious financial difficulties.
On the 10th of May, Brixton and Murder Robbery Squad, they asked the Orange Free State Police to be on the lookout for Whitehead's Mercedes. So 3 days later, on the 13th of May, it was a Thursday, Van der Merwe was spotted at a roadblock, and he was then tailed from the roadblock to his house where he had been living, and he was later arrested. And shortly after he was arrested, he gave a full confession. And that led to police in Knysna going with the police van and a police dog to where Whitehead's caravan was, and they spent the night on guard to see what was happening. The Whiteheads were then later on arrested the following Friday at around 3 a.m. at the Little Switzerland's Hotel in Drakensberg, where they were staying. So Gilbert Mthembu was also arrested following the confessions of Van der Merwe and Whitehead. Later on that Friday afternoon, Whitehead and Van der Merwe were then driven down to Knysna to the caravan, where they unlocked the caravan and the money, where the money was hidden. The police found sackfuls of money, and mostly in 10 rand notes, and they removed the money from the ceiling into the boot of the police cars. Of the 240,000 rand that was stolen, all but 1,538 was recovered. Derek Whitehead and Willem van der Merwe were remanded in custody pending trial, and Janet Whitehead was granted 1,000 rands bail.
On the 16th of June 1979, Mr. Justice M.E. Theron delivered his verdict. Out of consideration of her children, Jeanette's sentence was postponed and she was released. Van der Merwe and Whitehead both received 14 years imprisonment. They were both released in 1975 after serving only 4 years in prison.
Why was Jeanette released?
Honestly, the judge mentioned that he has a really soft spot for children. He just couldn't take the idea of taking both parents from children.
Okay.
Also, he empathized with the wife, Jeanette, because she did try to convince the husband not to go ahead with this, and she really did not want to, but she felt like she had no choice. The only reason why she ended up doing it was because his mind was set, and there was nothing she could do, and she just didn't want him to, be in trouble afterwards. That was pretty much the only role she played. And another thing I'm noticing now is that we mentioned that Mthembu was arrested after the confessions, but I'm not getting a sentence for him. Do you think that because it was their birthday days, they didn't keep as much track on him?
There isn't much information on him.
Yeah, there isn't.
Another thing I noticed, they stole 240,000 rands, but it was like back in 1971, so it was a lot of money, like inflation and so it was actually a lot of money that they stole, and they didn't even spend most of it. They only spent like 1,000 rands.
When the night before, who was arrested? What's his name now? Whitehead. The day before, they checked into the hotel at 4:30. The police came at 3 a.m. Imagine,
they didn't spend the money, but it's kind of clever because, like, you don't want to spend the money immediately after a heist, because it's obviously suspicion. Like, imagine me going from being broke to buying a house. Obviously, people are going to be suspicious, so I get it, but it kind of sucks because they didn't spend the money.
Exactly. Imagine we're sitting at 3 in the morning in a
hotel.
hotel. We probably
just checked
eaten.
in. You're thinking you're starting to live the life.
Exactly. It's like, Carla, then here they are. We with the freaking sirens. Damn it.
Just like that.
No, but thank you guys so much. Like we said, this one was more of a fun one. No trigger warnings. It's just, you know, stealing from the rich a little bit.
Yeah.
But that being said, though, don't think, like, if it ever comes to your mind, but no, let me try this whole bank. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. We told the more interesting stories.
Yeah,
The other stories end in blood, my good people. They end in blood. They end in tears. Because another thing, and we did mention, yes, that they were both released after 4 years.
This was during a birthday, so
I'm thinking, I'm trying.
They probably got lucky.
I'm trying my best to be all colorblind about it, but it's not working out. It's not working out. Like 4 years for such a big robbery. You know what I mean? That made headlines at the time.
But another thing is that these banks are insured, so when they lose money, they
they just go to the insurance and it's all back. It's all good.
Don't think about it.
You're gonna die.
You're gonna die.
So before you do, please subscribe to my channel. Definitely check out the video that we did in Langelihle's channel. It's also very, very interesting. So more of a recent one.
Yeah,
it's more of a recent one. So I think you may have heard about it. Definitely enjoy, and again, we appreciate the engagement. We appreciate you guys watching. We appreciate the comments, the likes, the everything. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.